Good afternoon again and welcome to Dapsy Chess. We are back. Today we are going to bring to you a very interesting game, a very interesting game, a kind of crazy game also, between International Master Oluwafemi Balogun, former national champion, and National Master Ferdinand, who actually has just become the new Nigerian national champion. That is really, really awesome. I mean, I heard that I think earlier today or was it last night? Yes, this is beautiful. 17-year-old Nigerian national champion, not Nigeria junior, Nigerian national champion. That's a big deal. That means that is progress for us. So this is a game I want to bring to us. This is a game played between NM Ferdinand and National Master Ferdinand. He was a Caro defense. I think an exchange variation. It was a kind of crazy game because in this game the national master Ferdinand totally outplayed the former Nigerian national champion, but somehow he found every means to lose this game. So, but anyway, let us get right into the game. Um, the game started with the move e4, c6 is played by Ferdinand, d4, d5, captures. We have the exchange variation of the Caro-Can. You know, Caro-Can defense can be very, very pasty defense. It might look very passive, but don't get it twisted. You know, Caro-Can can be very volatile as well, depending on who is playing it sometimes. So, bishop to d3 is played. Knight to f, knight to c6, putting pressure on the pawn on d4. We protect the pawn with the move c3. Queen to c7 is played. What's the idea of queen to c7? I really don't know. Well, one idea is to take away the bishop f4, which is a very good square for the bishop. Bishop f4, bishop g3. That's a very good idea. And of course, we're also trying to wait for how we were going to put the bishop on c8. So, queen to c7. Queen c7 stops bishop to f4. I'm not sure what else the move queen c7 is played for. And it's actually the second most played move after the move knight f6. So queen c7 was played, and h3, of course, the idea of the h3 move is to discourage the bishop coming from to g4 when the knight goes to f3. But normally in the Caro-Can, sometimes the bishop doesn't really have to go to g4 square. It goes to the f5 square, which can be a little annoying, coupled with the g6 move, because when it goes to the f5, you capture back, you place e6. He has a very solid hold on this e4 square. So h3 is played, and h3 is actually the top move in this position. h3, knight f6, knight to f3, g6. Can we note how black has refused to play e6? That's a very smart move. He has refused to play e6, but doesn't want this bishop to get locked in. So he said he's playing the move g6. He's going to bring the bishop to g7. Like I said, he's going to bring this bishop to f5, trying to exchange off this bishop here. But normally, another thing we also have to always realize is anytime we're playing against the fianchetto, what do I mean by that? When we have this g6, bishop g7, anytime we're playing against the fianchetto, bishop d3 is always not a good idea. You don't really get to have much effect because of the pawn chain. So g6 is played. Of course, the idea of g6 is to bring the bishop on g7. So after the move g6, knight to a3. That's a very strange move. I figured white is trying to go to b5, maybe bishop to f4 if the queen doesn't maintain the diagonal here. But knight to b3, I'm not so sure. Personally, maybe I would have anticipated the bishop coming to f5 and played queen to c2, stopping that bishop from coming out for now. And then I could always continue with my castles, rook to e1, bishop to g5. I'm not really going to be so keen about bringing this knight to this part of the board for now. Okay, but let's keep going. a6 is played, knight to c2. Also, no idea on the plan, no idea why that knight c2. I don't know where the knight is going. Bishop to f5 is played, captures back. Bishop to g5, threatening nothing really. Well, I wouldn't say nothing, because if you let me take on f6 and you take back, you're going to have triplets. And triplets are supposed to be something good, but in this position it's going to be very bad. Because now your pawn, you have three weak pawns. And the pawn on f5 can easily be attacked with the move knight d3, knight h4, and I think you're just busted here. So you don't want me to take on f6. So knight to e4 was played, queen to c1. I don't like that move at all. Already, I like black's position. Why? Because I really don't see any play for any of white's pieces. Let's break it down. Knight to c2, what is it doing really? Nothing much. Think about it. Knight c2 is not doing much. What about the bishop on f4? It's not really doing much. Okay, if it is not doing much on g5, where can we put this bishop that it can do much? Really, tell me. What square? You're going to come here, you're going to lose a piece. If you come here, you lose a piece. If you come here, you're out of the game. If you come to e3, you're just sitting down. If you come to d2, you're not doing much either. So if you come to c1, you're blocking the communication between your pieces. So already black is looking good, especially with a very strong knight on e4 that cannot be operated. That knight is like a rock. So queen to c1, this has to be a horrible move. This has to be a horrible move. And I think the idea is to move the bishop to f4, force the queen away from that diagonal. Maybe at some point in time, relocate your queen to a good square, because your queen on c1 is not a very good move, considering your rook is trapped on the a1 square. In chess, it's very important for you to try to get your pieces. Put them where they can do something. We talk about these all the time. And it doesn't change. You're not going to play a game of chess and do something different. You always have to get all those pieces on the best squares possible. So let's keep going. E3, e6 was played, bishop to f4, bishop to d6. Of course, that's possible because I have this very strong knight on e4. Captures back, castles. This is a very dangerous line white is playing. Why am I saying that? There's already a g file here. In two moves, I don't even have to go 0, 0, 0. I can just step the king down and move the rooks. Now, king down is not a bad because the center is actually closed. There is no way there's no way white can open the center. So I can actually just step the king to e7, double the rooks on the g file, put pressure here. So white is really playing with fire here, really, by casting to the king side. But this is the question. If white doesn't castle to the queen side, what does white do? Personally, I would have liked to make a move like queen to e3. I would have tried to make a move like queen to e3, just to wait to see what black does. So if he castles to the queen side, I'll just follow him right there, castle back there. And then I can always play g3 and just, defend my position. Even if he brings the pawn here, just g3. As long as my king is on this part of the board. Because with the knight on e4, your king on this side is going to, bad things might happen very, very quickly. Bad things might happen. There's already an open file. So let's keep going. Castles, black castles immediately. Knight to b4, threatening nothing really, because if knight takes, queen takes, you can't take the pawn, you're going to lose a piece. If you come to d3 and go to e5, you're going to get kicked out. You can get kicked out, maybe not immediately, because there is knight to f7. So you can play queen to c7 and then just kick the knight. You have to exchange pieces, and it hasn't really helped you much. But this file here is going to cause a lot of pain for you. So rook to g8 immediately was played. Knight captures on c6. That's a very interesting move by black. I have no clue why b takes c6 was played. Probably the idea is to try to, make solid the center, but there's no point doing that. You don't want to weaken your queen side, even though there are no places to attack you right there. But anyway, black might have his plans, but I definitely do not agree with the b takes on c6. B takes c6, c4, rook to g8, simply doubling the rooks on the g file. Now, c5 cannot be a good move. Ladies and gentlemen, c5 cannot be a good move. Why? If your opponent is trying to attack you on the flank, and you have a chance of opening up the center, but instead you close the center, so you're pretty much playing into the hands of your opponent. You're pretty much doing what your opponent wants you to do. So I'm going to say this again. By moving the pawn to c5, you're pretty much saying, you know what, you don't have to worry about the center is going to be closed. You can just go ahead and attack me on the g file. So that's the meaning of this c5. This c5 cannot be a good move. So queen goes to c7, rook to d1. What's the point? I mean, rook can always go to d3 at some point, yeah. And to b3, yeah. To b6, yeah. Queen to rook takes. You need like several moves, like 1, 2, 3, 4 to take that pawn. If If you give black 4 moves, you think black can cause some havoc in your position? I guarantee it will. So all these things we have to think about it. Now, rook to d1 looks like a good move. I think it's just a very, very bad move. Now, think about this. Right, moving to rook to d1. The only piece protecting this king is the knight on f3. How many pieces do we have attacking this king? We have the rook on g7. We have the knight on e4. And this is something I've always said in my videos. Anytime a piece is attacking a square or a pawn and is defended by a king, it's a red flag. Think about the possibilities you can get. So we have the knight on f2. We have the rook on g7, putting pressure on g2. We have the queen on c7, putting pressure on this long. And this rook is about to join. So this white king is about to get a lot of uninvited guests. So what exactly is the white king going to do about it? And we have no clue. And the sad thing is you cannot play g3 in this position. Your position is going to get busted open really quick. Knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, check. At least you're going to lose the knight even if you don't get mated. So this is really, really bad already for the white pieces. So rook d1 is played. Rook to g8. Now this is what I was talking about. You cannot play pawn push to defend that. Now you have to play knight to e1. I just said something now. Anytime your king is defending anything, it's a red flag. Don't leave your king alone to defend anything. And this is the example I normally give my students when I teach. I say, for example, there's a body, and we have a celebrity. Let's name a celebrity. Okay, let's say LeBron James. Okay. Now, celebrities always have bodyguards. Now, look at a situation whereby you as a celebrity, you have to defend your bodyguard. That's a problem. Then it shouldn't be having that job. So what am I talking about? Every time we have kings, we have to defend the kings, not the other way around. If the king has to keep an eye on the pawn, keep an eye on the square, keep an eye on the piece, it's a red flag. Something bad is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Knight takes f2. Brilliant move by National Master Ferdinand. Now the rook just went to d2. You cannot take that knight because you're going to get busted very, very quickly. You're going to get busted very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. Everything just crashes. So all this guy's not doing anything. Remember what I said earlier. This rook, when the queen went to c1, I said, you come in here, you're stopping this guy away from breathing. And all it takes is one move. After one move, and if you don't get yourself in place, bad things happen very quickly. So it's interesting that after knight takes f2, rook goes to d2, and knight takes h3 check. Knight takes h3 check. All of a sudden, very quickly, white is down 2 pawns. The king's position is compromised, and there is zero attack on this king. This king is pretty much on vacation, the king on c8. So, queen check, king goes to e2. Now, this is exactly where we came up with I came up with the topic for this game. The running king, the running man. The king is a running man. So, king to e2. We will be surprised where this king ended. King to d3. Now, I'm going to go back here because even all these were still winning. So at this point, king to e2 was played. Now, queen check, king goes to d3. Now, instead of the queen check, I think g3 was a very strong move. What's the point? You're stopping this king from getting away. You're stopping the king from getting away. So, queen b5 check, queen g4 check, king goes to d3, knight check. And I think at this point, Ferdinand was just going for the check. I don't know. Well, I wouldn't say, I don't know. I wouldn't know if he was really thinking deep about the checks and the possibilities of white. But I still think white is just busted in this game. But let us see how this game continues. Knight goes to e2, attacking the queen. Queen goes to d1. Queen checks. King goes to b3. Rook g3 check. This rook should have been here ever since all those checks started. King goes to a4. Knight to f4. What's the point of knight to f4? I don't see any threat, but still this king cannot be looking good on a4. So we think. King goes to a3. King says, you know what, I might as well just keep going into your territory. Let's see what's going to happen. Knight takes g2. Knight goes to d3. It didn't take, but of course taking back is not going to work because the fewer the pieces on the board, the more danger the white pieces is going to be. So knight to e3, queen goes to b3, queen takes the pawn. Now I'm sure by this time black should be really full of all the. I mean, black is taking so many pawns. So queen takes on d4, rook goes to c1. And what's the point of rook to c1? Oh, Ferdinand is trying to get this rook in the game. Knight checks, king takes on a6, knight takes rook, queen b7 check, king goes to d8. Early on in this game, I was actually saying something like, there is no point using this b pawn. Imagine if this b pawn was here, this king a6 would have not been possible. Remember, let's go back, just rewind. Earlier I said you don't have to, you don't have to capture over your b pawn. You don't need to capture over the queen so that the pawns are protected. Now, if the b pawn was there, king a6 would have not be a possibility. But black is still better. Let's keep going. Knight moves. All of a sudden, white is gaining some ground on this king, because now we have 1-2. Now the king is actually part of the attack on the enemy king. And meanwhile, even though black has succeeded in wrecking the white king, bringing the white king from g1 all the way to a6. But let's see what happens. So now the king is about to run, but really, I don't think there's any place this king can run to right now. Knight takes c6, queen check, king goes to b6, rook check. I don't think that was necessary. Rook b3, okay, it's possible. Rook b3 check, captures, queen takes b3. Black is still winning, funny enough. Queen takes check, king takes, knight to b3, attacking the pawn, and also the rook, threatening a check. Knight attack, rook attacks the knight. Knight takes c7 check. Now, all black can show for all the brilliant play are just pawns, Black totally mishandled this game, right? And of course, very soon white was able to consolidate and was able to win this game, right? I just want to show you how this game ended. Very sad, because pawns don't have a lot of, they don't move that quickly, right? Pawns keep going, but this is all black has to show for his attack. Okay, I mean, I've been to this situation several times. I'm going to tell you what I mean. So knight moves back, pawn push, rook backs, takes, and is going to get a queen, and the game is pretty much over. All right, once I get a queen first, there is no. Now this game is over. So I'm going to go back to this position here. In every position you have, there is a critical point. That critical point, your decision determines how the game goes. In a critical point, there are several possibilities. Let me put that. There are several possibilities, but one just really takes your opponent out. There's a critical point in every position. Now, we're going to start from here, right? We're going to start from knight takes, queen check. This is the critical point. For me, this is the critical point. Now, you have several good moves. There's check here, several good moves. But this is one thing you have to ask yourself. This king can get away through that square, right? Or through that square. So one thing that's very important is it's very important for you to stop this king from having access to this rank, white's third rank, by moving rook to g3. Now, if the king comes here to e2, now we have the move queen to g4 check. Now, see what I'm talking about. Now, if you move to the square e4, I'm simply going to bring you back. Okay, you have to go to knight d2, whatever you do. This is the point. This rook is not participating. The queen is not active. The rook is there just defending. The knight is just defending, and you still have a lot of pressure. So you can pretty much just come back here with a pawn without handling all the activity that happened in this game. This was a very careless and I'm sure a painful loss for Ferdinand. And I think there was another game Ferdinand lost, I think, to Ramon, totally drawn position. So my point is, when you get to when you get to a critical point in a game, it's very important to take your time. Think, just invest some time to think about the possibilities you have at that point. Because the possibilities you have, think about the things the opponent can do, think about the things you can do, and come up with the best move. I guarantee you, if you come up with the best move is going to give it two effects. It's going to make your opponent think a lot, burn his time. And if your opponent is not about to burn his time and he say, I'm just going to find a move to make, it's going to definitely blunder. Okay, so this is the game. Be a very sad loss, but hey, yeah, this is the game between, yes, like I said, Femi and Ferdinand. A very sad loss. They totally outplayed the former national champion, but it was not meant to be. Anyways, I'm going to bring you back some other games. So many exciting games. I'm pleased I did not leave the women out. I'm also going to share some of the games from the ladies section. All right, that's it for now. See you all soon. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. It's Friday, and God bless.